Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is USA Global TV and Radio. I'm your host for today's show. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show is a really important one. I think that this might resonate with many of the people who are out there. We are going to be talking about you, body, heart, and soul. Is it body, mind, and soul? Does it matter? It's a heart, it's a mind, it's a soul. It's all together. And our topic today is how much do looks really matter? Everyone has an opinion. Joining me is the star of our show. His name is Justin MIRIGLIANI. He is a dear friend. He's an incredible person. He's someone who has inspired me and so many others across the world. He does incredible work in terms of giving back and also in terms of teaching soft skills to corporates as well as to individuals, people who are interested in bettering themselves, personal development, leadership development. Let's welcome Mr. Justin MIRIGLIANI. Hello, hello.
Dr. JACALYN, welcome back home.
Thank you, thank you. It was great to be in London, to be broadcasting from London. And now I am in New Jersey.
There you go.
Yeah.
Quick turnaround.
Exactly, exactly. And I think you and I are in the same state for once in a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is great. So while I've been gone, I've just been amazed at the amount of audience participation that you've had and the number of topics that you bring up that really resonate with people. So before we dive into this topic, which obviously people are going to have opinions about, I just want to encourage people to feel free to comment. And if you have a question or if you have something that is pressing, put it into the comments on whatever channel you're watching. Obviously, if you're on Zizzle TV or E360 or Amazon or Roku, you can't do that. But you can jump over to YouTube if you have any comments that you want to share. So, Justin, you've had a major transformation physically as well as mentally. A lot of things have gone on and are going on. What do you attribute this incredible success that you've had to really becoming, in some ways, half a person that you are, and in other ways, double a person in terms of what you've gotten from this transformational experience?
Well, it's been a long, long fight with depression over the last couple of years. As we haven't talked about this yet on the show, but I've talked about this on Facebook. Unfortunately, after 20 years of marriage, my marriage is ending, and it's very difficult. I lost my uncle suddenly 2 weeks ago. We had the funeral last week, and there's some other family members who aren't doing well, and so there's a lot mentally. And over the last few years, I've really been struggling with having an inkling that the marriage was devolving, and wondering what I could do to fix that, and wondering, but it was almost like being a teenager, wondering if is my appearance. You know, I was getting very heavy because I was depressed and I wasn't in the gym at all, and I feel like I went through high school. Whoa, looks like we got a little. There we go. All right, fix that. I went through high school, and I was not what you would call a handsome teenager. I certainly went through those gawky years of not looking good, and that bothered me a lot. I mean, and one of the things was I was so skinny, and people would always make fun of that about my size, about how small I was body wise. And I don't think that's something you can shake easily, even as you get older. I think that's something that stays with you because it happens at a young age. Um, so I haven't really worried about what I look like being a married man. That we're just separated right now, but it looks as though it's heading in that direction, unfortunately. But now I look and I look at women a different way than I did before. I noticed that looks are appealing. There's no doubt about that. And when I was, well, going back to high school, when I was in high school, I wasn't a good looking kid. I really was. I was that gawky teenager. And then once I got in the gym and started lifting weights and really ripped up, that's when I became a pretty decent looking kid. I'm not going to say that I was, exceptional or people's sexiest man alive, but I was a good looking kid. And when I got into college, I was a good looking kid in college. I was very ripped, very, very, always had my hair done well, worried about it. Was very conscientious about my looks, wanted to make sure I was wearing shirts that made me look big, shirts that made me look muscular, shirts that, pants that look really good and had the right sneakers. And, it was really important to me. And I thought the only way a girl is going to ever like me is if I look good. And that was really, really wrong in two ways. One, because it was wrong for me to think that that was the only way a girl could like me. And two, that meant that I thought the only way I could like a girl was if I thought she was, quote, at the time we used the word hot. So I would date very pretty girls in college. I dated some really pretty girls, and after college as well. As a young man, um, dated some really pretty women, and the relationships. There were good times and bad times, but especially the ones after college, they really didn't stick until I met Amy and we did get married. And I think part of the problem with my dating history before that was that I was always looking for, is she hot? Is she hot? Is she hot? And there are things that supersede that. Everybody's good looking in some way, shape, or form, no matter what. Everybody's lovable. Yeah, I do see we have a comment, so I do want to take that. So let's see what the comment is. Ah, Rachel, thank you very much. I don't even know if I want to read this. It's embarrassing. Rachel says I was handsome in high school too. I thank you. I appreciate that. But I didn't think so. I really didn't. I looked in the mirror and I was so. And Rachel's always calls every week, so thank you, Rachel and Olivia, or Antoinette rather. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. But I didn't feel that way, and I as it came full circle for me on a Christmas not so long ago, maybe a couple years ago, when my oldest daughter was going through her teenage years and she didn't like the way she looked. And we were in line for pictures with Santa. And she didn't want to take any pictures with Santa. She said, I don't look good. I don't look right. I don't and I thought, oh my God, those thoughts that she feels, how many girls did I not talk to or not date or not connect with because of that reason? And it really hit home there. I was like, wow, I could feel her pain, and then I could feel the pain that I might have put on other people. So that's part of the change. I do remember. It's funny. There have been some people that I've been attracted to that other people might not find attractive at all as well, where they weren't physically like a model or a cheerleader or what would be considered what typically would be considered beautiful. I remember some of you who are my age and maybe and older might remember Family Ties. And I remember there was an episode where Alex Pete Keaton, he was in love with a girl who was going to get married, and she was heading to a train station, and he chased her down to stop her marriage. Her name was Ellen, and in fact, it's Tracy Pollan. It's his actual wife now. They met during those episodes, and they actually got married. And I remember being 10 years old and seeing her and seeing how he interacted with her and the way she interacted with him. And like, I felt like I was Alex. I felt in love with her. I mean, I just felt a connection with, I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great? Not a connection with her personally, but wouldn't it be great to be with a girl or a woman who sees me the way she sees him, or I see her the way he sees her, and that's important to me. Uh, I do think physical attraction is important. I don't think you can fake that. I think that that's something that has to be. I don't think you can just pretend that you're physically attracted to somebody if you're not. That doesn't mean that you are rejected, and that doesn't mean that if look, I have an ostomy. For plenty of women, that's a non-starter. That's going to be no. I mean that's going to be, you forget it, and I know that. And I'm closing on 50. I gray in my beard, and for some women, that's going to be a non-starter. That's going to be a no. And the difference between me now and me then is I would chase back then. I would be like, well, yeah, come on, please, it. Now I would never chase down and try to talk a woman into wanting to date me or wanting to be with me. I mean, if she does, she does. If she doesn't, she doesn't. And I'm not going to take that as a personal slight. I'm not going to be devastated by it. I'm not in love with every girl I meet. So, my thought is, if even if you are attracted to somebody and they're not attracted to you, and that's going to happen in my case, I know that, and I'm okay with it. Um, you just chalk it up to, people like chocolate, people like vanilla. I mean, some people like blondes, some people like brunettes. Some women like guys with muscle. I had a girlfriend in college who said I was too muscular. And then other girls said, oh, I really like the muscles. So, I mean, how do you win, right? I mean, it's like, should I wear glasses? Should I not wear glasses? It's impossible. So you have to look. I keep using this over and over again, in their totality. You got to look at people in their totality to find the attractiveness. It's not all looks. Now, again, looks matter. They do. You have to have a physical attraction, but that is not the overriding number one issue. That can't be, because if it is, they're fleeting anyway. I mean, we're all going to get older. We're all going to get grayer, and I'm not going to stay with almost 20-inch arms forever. I mean, that's not going to last forever. When I'm in my 70s, they're going to start to shrink, and hopefully I can get through my 60s all right, but it is what it is. So, Dr. JACALYN, that's why I wanted you to do the show today. I want to get your take, a female's take on this as well.
A female's take on what you shared about your physique, or your
on what you think about how important is physical attraction? How important does it matter at all? Does it not matter at all? Is it, like, if it's the nicest guy in the world, but you're not physically attracted to him, would you be able to date him?
I think it has to do with chemistry, and chemistry doesn't necessarily have to do with looks. It's just some kind of click that you have with the person. You just connect, and those butterflies are in your stomach, or sparks start to fly. But much like you, when you were talking about your background with ulcerative colitis, and the guys that I dated when I was first diagnosed, and a little bit after that, people would say, you're disgusting, you're dirty, that's gross, I'm not interested in anyone who has a disease. And it really impacted me to the point, so many years later, still having it. I could care less about dating anyone. It's not even on my radar. It's not even in the universe. The most handsome guy could walk up to me and I would care less. I just care about creating a legacy and continuing to grow this platform. So it's hard for me to say, but I think chemistry is definitely important. And again, that can be any number of things.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's really it's hard to think about it now as a almost 50-year-old than when you're a 22-year-old or a 23-year-old or a 26-year-old. I mean, there is a difference. But to me, there's got to be, like you said, a connection. There's got to be an attraction. There's got to be like-mindedness. I think is important for people to have similar values and similar thoughts. They don't have to be the same. I think that different people of different religions can get married. I think people who are Republican or Democrat can get married. That might be a little tougher in this day and age, but I think that can happen. But I think when it comes down to the important things, I think that's where you have to be able to connect. And there's got to be some way that you find middle ground with each other. So I think
Yeah.
that's pretty important.
I do have a thought about that. I think, and I'd be interested to know if anybody out there thinks this is important, but I've always wanted to feel safe with someone, meaning that they have my back, that I can be myself. And some of that, I guess, can stem from childhood or experiences you had in school. But I think
Sure.
when someone goes out of their way to take care of you, to be nice to you, to be kind to you, and they want nothing in return, then that really says something. It says to me, oh, this person really has a good heart and they're really sincere. They're not doing nice things or being nice because they have an ulterior motive. And I don't think that matters what you look like at all. That's just how you are as a human and what your
Right.
character's.
That's right. No, I agree with that. And the other thing is, I think in today's day and age, it's a little different where I've gone out while I'm married with female friends. And since the separation, going out with female friends where they weren't dates, where they were women who were married or just friends. And I think probably a generation ago that probably wouldn't have happened. I think people would look down on that and say, "Oh, that's not right. That's cheating or whatever." But I think we've evolved from that. I think that if I said to a girl, "Hey, you want to catch a movie?" Does that mean that I'm asking her on a date? Not necessarily. I mean, it just might mean, "Hey, let's see a movie." Just like a guy friend that might say, "Do you want to see a movie?" Or do you want to go to a Flyers game? Or do you want to do this or that? So. Uh, that's the other thing is I think people get caught up in the, oh, what is this? The panic of what are the motives? What are their thoughts? What are their intentions? And it might be just to have companionship and just to have a friend and somebody to sit with. And I love getting together with old friends. I love sitting together with old friends and talking about the old times. And it doesn't mean that it's romantic, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be. Now, with that said, could those things happen? Sure. I don't close the door on it. But my cousin a couple weeks ago said to me, "You're almost 50. You're done. You're washed up. It's over." I said, "Are you crazy?" I said, "Oh, washed up?" I said, "That's nuts. Why would you punt the second half of your life? There's no need to. There's no need to." And again, I'm not saying that I would necessarily be all about looking for somebody who is the ideal looking person. I mean, that character Ellen Tracy Pollan is a very pretty girl, but certainly would not be considered a super beauty. I mean, she's beautiful in the way she is. There was a woman that I worked with when I was a kid at the bank. I was a bank teller, and she was one of the customer service reps, and she was really just the average looking woman. I mean, she wasn't overly attractive, but she was just gregarious and fun and um in some ways sensual, and to me that was a turn on. I like that. I thought that was pretty cool. um she told me, hey, she was married and there was nothing happening between us, but she was telling me that, my husband and I still make out in the car and we're, in our 50s. And I'm like, that's cool. I mean, so, all right, you're in your 50s. I was 22, but all right, you're in your 50s. That doesn't mean that those things have to stop. And, again, it's not just a looks thing, but in my opinion, it's not. I think there are different things that everybody looks for. I think there are different things. Like some women love guys with blue eyes, for instance. I get that. I don't have blue eyes, so I'm out, and that's okay. That's not a big deal. Or my daughters aren't blondes. They're brunettes. They may meet a guy that just says, "Look, I'm into blondes, and that's my preference." And I try to tell them, "Look, I mean, that's not a knock against you. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's just that person's own feeling of what they prefer." I mean, again, some people like steak, some people like fish, some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla. Um, on the looks part of it, that's the way that works. I think it's just, now can to your point, Dr. Jacqueline, can you get past that with somebody that you're not initially attracted to? I think that's possible. Sure. I think that can happen. I think the first thing that happens usually is there's some sort of a spark. There's some sort of a, you notice that person, you look at that person and you say, wow, they're really attractive. And in for whatever reason, why? I mean, again, body parts, right? Some men like eyes, some men like breasts, some men like rear ends. I mean, some men like legs. Women, some men like pecs, some like biceps, some like a guy with a big back. Or I remember I remember working at a sporting goods store. There was a girl I really, really liked, very pretty girl. I was attracted to her. Asked her out a million times. No, 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 no. And back then I took it, to heart. It really, like, it bummed me out. Where today I would just be like, whatever. I'll just move on. But the reason why she didn't like me is she said, you're too big. I like thin guys. I like really, really thin, like heavy metal rocker thin guys. Like the guys that used to be like glam rockers, like Motley Crue and things like that, or Axl Rose and those guys. She liked that look. Now I was disappointed, sure. And I was like, oh man, like, why can't I have this girl? Why can't I go out with this girl? But that's she just wasn't attracted to me. All right, well, then it bothered me. Now not so much. The ones that hurt are the ones that are when you do have a connection as well, when you have the emotional connection along with the physical connection. Um, when those end, those hurt. I mean, I don't think there's any getting around that. I think that's and I feel that way with guy friends too. I look back on guy, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being gay. I happen to not be gay, but uh, I have guy friends that I look back and I've lost touch with, and I think about, gee, I really wish I would have kept in touch with that person because I really liked them as a person, and they really, made a difference in my life one way or another. So it's not just a romantic type of thing. It could be a friendship type of thing where you're just like, oh man, I wish I didn't lose touch with that person. I wish I was still with that person, and we could hang out together. I think Facebook has done a really good job. I mean, there are obviously a lot of things wrong with social media. Facebook and Zoom and things like that really have helped stop that loss because you can keep up with people. Um, but I saw and I don't know if she's watching or not, but my third grade girlfriend, all right, third grade girlfriend, in September, I went up to visit because I was going to a convention up there, and her house is right nearby. And she's a beautiful girl. I mean, and I, does the thought cross your mind, what would have happened if? Yeah. I mean, I think we all do that, you know. But then my kids wouldn't have been born. My two daughters wouldn't have been born if things changed, if things were different. So you can't have it both ways, right? I mean, you get one or the other. And do I ever have thoughts of what it would have been like had I married a girl that I had dated before? Sure. I mean, I think that's probably something that everybody does, even people who are happily married.
Well, something I'm going to share with you is I think you're frozen. No, you're not. Okay.
No, no, no. I just very
Okay.
still.
So there are two
Weekend at
television
Bernie's.
there are two television shows that I'm not a paid sponsor or spokesperson, but I just wanted to share the dichotomy of the two shows. So you have one which is Love is Blind, right? It's on
Mhm,
Netflix, and
mhm.
people are in pods with a wall between them, and they don't see what each other look like. They have a certain amount of time to see if they can build a connection based on their personalities. And it's really interesting because when they finally get to see each other, and they're trying to put the voice with the face, then they have to really work hard at the physical part, because does the physical part naturally come because you have an emotional connection? And then on the opposite end, when I was in London, my friends told me about this show called Naked Attraction. And I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's
No.
quite interesting. It was actually good for a few laughs. But they have these 6 boxes. They're like plexiglass, like, long boxes, and each one's a different color. And you have 6 naked people, one in each box. And so the pink box, the orange box, and then you have someone who's interested in meeting someone, and the host. And so they'll all of a sudden raise the plexiglass so that you get to see, the person's private parts. And the person looking to date and the host will actually go up to each plexiglass box and stare at that person's nakedness and say, wow, I've never seen an uncircumcised XYZ. And they're
Right.
literally studying the body parts.
Right.
And then they'll eliminate someone, and then they bring the plexiglass up so you see the torso and the chest, and then they eliminate someone, and then they show you the face. And so based on what I've read about that show is you're seeing everything there is to see. There's nothing to hide. It's all there. They turn around, they're bending over. And those relationships probably have an equal success rate as Love is Blind. So I'm not sure what it all means, but it's just two totally different approaches to
And
finding
it's
love.
still,
And it's still difficult no matter what.
yeah, isn't that funny?
Yes.
Now, I'll give you an example where looks didn't make a difference. I between my college years and the girls, I back then was a one girl guy. So I didn't like to date multiple girls at the same time. I like relationships. I thought that was the better way to go. That's probably a little different today now that I'm a little older and have been married and am on a different plane now. Um, Not to say that I'm going to become a gigolo, but to go out and have fun, go on a date, go bowling, do things like that, axe throwing, whatever, if it leads to any physical, um, whatever in due time when I'm ready to do that, then it does. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But there was a girl that I dated once, no, twice, 2 times after my college girlfriend and before Amy, before my wife. And this girl was gorgeous. I mean, she's absolutely spectacular looking. In fact, I think if I remember right, she was a final cut as an Eagles cheerleader. And I took her out twice, and looking at her, I was like, I can't believe this girl's interested in me. I was like a 20-some-year-old, like, wow, like, how did I do this? And she spoke about her cat for 45 minutes on our first date, only about the cat, as if the cat were a person. Now, look, if you're talking about your cat and you're saying things about your cat, I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. but 45 straight minutes of me going, uh-huh, 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 about the cat. So I said, all right, first date, maybe she was nervous or whatever. I don't know why. She probably has 8 million guys that are going after her, but whatever. So I went out with her a second time. Another 45 minutes soliloquy on the cat. The looks drained right from my eyeballs. I mean, it was just like lost all attraction immediately. I mean, just complete loss of attraction because it was just there was no personality there. There was no connection. There was nothing. There was nothing. And you know, I couldn't change that. I mean, there was nothing I could do about that. I mean, I'm sure she was able to find somebody. I'm sure because again, she was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, just a beautiful, beautiful woman. But to me, the looks didn't. As much as I thought she was beautiful, it just wasn't enough because there was just nothing there other than looks, and that's just not going to work. So I think there's got for me, and I'm talking for me, there's got to be a mix of both. I have to be physically attracted, and I have to be attracted to them as a person, and attracted to them as who they are and what they are. And then that's the same thing I would expect for them. I mean, look, if a girl came up to me and said, Justin, look, I can't date you because you're an ostomy patient and it just is something that I can't get over. Okay. All right. That's fine. I mean, I may not love it. It may sting, but it's not going to keep me up at night. I'm not going to cry on my pillow. I'm not going to be devastated. I'll just say, all right, well, she wasn't interested. And somebody else might come along and they might say, who cares? Because during intimate moments, it's covered anyway. It's in a pouch. It's covered up. You can't see it. You can't smell it. You can't nothing. It's not non-existent. So it shouldn't matter at all. But that doesn't mean that everybody's going to feel that way. Age could be a difference, right? I often think about how young, how old would I date? Would I date somebody who's younger than me? Yeah, sure. If there was a connection and an attraction, yeah. Would I date somebody older than me? Absolutely. If there was a connection and an attraction, sure. Why not? It has to be the right place at the right time, not rushed, not something that I would say, hey, I got to do this tomorrow. You know, um, but I hope that people give themselves the same grace that I'm giving myself when I am rejected. Because it killed me when I was younger. It really did. It really crushed me when I was rejected. It was such an internal blow that it took everything out of me, and I'd be depressed and just felt like I was a loser, and there was nothing good about me at all, and I just was a waste, and ugly, and that wasn't true, and it's not true for anyone. It doesn't matter what you look like. There's something lovable about you no matter what you look like. It really doesn't matter. I mean, somebody might say, well, I'm morbidly obese. Yeah, but you're still lovable. It doesn't mean that you're not lovable. It just means that you're morbidly obese. I mean, and somebody might be attracted to that. And if they're not, then they're not the right person for you. Or they might see your heart and they may say, wow, what a wonderful person this is. And I don't care about the obesity. It doesn't matter to me. It makes no difference at all. And that might be true. And there might be other people who don't do that. But we just have to accept what happens and just love yourself, be happy, and know that you can be happy on your own, that your happiness is not decided by who is into you and who is not into you. And if you can do that, that's going to really save you a lot of heartache. So, it's a matter of what do you want out of a relationship, you know? And the other thing that some people will say to me that I don't agree with, like, why do you go to the gym? Why are you vain? Like, why do you want to build big muscles? Why do you want a six pack? I want that for me. I want to look like that. That's what I want to look like. That doesn't mean I'm doing it for women. Now, if women find that attractive, sure, I'm flattered by that. I mean, if women say, "Hey, you really are a good-looking guy. Your body's really, really ripped," and sure, I like that. I mean, who wouldn't? Or if they'd say, I like your beard, or I like your hair, or I like your glasses, or whatever. Of course, I mean, why not? There's nothing wrong with that. It's not vain. We all try to look the best we can. I don't think anybody gets up in the morning and says, "How can I look the worst I possibly can today?" I don't think we go to work and say, "You know what? I want to look the worst I could possibly look today." We never do that. We want to look the best we can. We comb our hair, we brush our teeth, we wear deodorant, we take a shower, we wear clothes that are flattering to us, that are made, and something that would not be flattering to us, we don't wear that. So, I, I don't think there's anything wrong with being concerned about your looks, unless you allow it to become so consuming that it overrules your whole life, and you can't get beyond that. I mean, if that's going to be the deciding factor on your whole value as a person, then there's where your problem is.
Yes, you hit on a lot of really good points. And I think it also depends on your mindset and what you've experienced. So for me, I'm a lot older than you, sadly, but I am.
No, you're not.
I have a very different perspective because at this stage of my life, first of all, I'm just going to say this, and I know this is going to offend a lot of people, and I don't mean it to be, but I'm not an advocate for marriage. I'm really not. I think it's almost impossible to stay with the same person for your entire life. I think it takes an incredible amount of compassion and, I don't want to say negotiating, but compromise. And
Compromise.
and I know that there are people who've been married for a very long time. My parents were married for a very long time. I don't know that that means that you're in love with each other all that time. I think at some point you become partners and you say, well, we have the kids, or we have the money, we have the assets. And that doesn't mean that you look at that person and your knees are buckling. It's just you've been with them for a long time. So to me, I feel like as a single person, it's even more difficult to stay with someone because there's nothing to keep you together except your sheer desire to do so. And at this stage of my life, what I would be open to is somebody that I would see 2 or 3 times a week. They have their own home. I have my home. We get together. They disappear. I disappear. And it's not like being together every minute of the day because I have so many things on my list that I'm looking to accomplish before I check out of this place. And I went from having a lot of my life being ruled by men, being told what to do, what to wear, what to say. And I would get, oh, you're so pretty, but no one would ever care about my mind. No one cared about my education. It was just about what I looked like on the outside. So I
Not
think,
worth it
yeah, like
for
to me,
you. That's terrible.
yeah, and I think it comes down to how someone treats you, and is there a
Mhm.
spark that is
Yeah.
between the two of you, and are you willing to work it out? Not because there's a paper or because they're kids or because you have joint assets, because you really love that person, you really respect that person, and you really want to be with that person. That's just
I could. No, I agree with you. I can remember two of the, and I think this happens a lot when you're younger, but two of the most romantic things that ever happened to me. And I'm a passionate person. I do love passion. Everything I do is with passion. And if I'm not passionate about it, I fail. So I'm passionate about this TV show. I'm passionate about my work. I'm passionate about my charity, and that's why it succeeds. And I'm passionate. And I'll give you two examples of non-sexual, non-physical romance that I'll never forget, that is in my mind forever. There was one girl that I would really, really loved. And I remember we were um, laying in bed listening to music. And I can remember the songs. I won't say them because I don't want to, you know, out that person, but if in case they're watching, who knows. But um I remember nothing physical happening for hours. I mean, literally hours, just laying on each other, holding each other, and that's it. Not one physical thing. That was one of the most romantic moments that I ever had in my entire life. And then the other one was there was a girl that, again, she was not your classic beauty. She wasn't somebody that you would say, "Oh, that girl's smoking hot. She's a cheerleader, or she's this or that." But she reminded me of that character Ellen in Family Ties that I was talking about earlier, and I grew to really, really care for her, and and she became more beautiful in my eyes than she probably was to other people who didn't know her. Which isn't to say she's not a beautiful girl, because she is, but she, there was something there, and it was late December of 1994, and I want to write her and just tell her I want to thank her for this memory when that day comes. But it was December 19th, the day before my 20th birthday. I was 19, turning 20. And all day long, I'm with her the whole day, and we're hanging out with a bunch of people at college. And I'm scared to death. I know she had a boyfriend, and I'm scared to death to ask, if she liked me. And I was really, really like, I got to do it. I got to do it. And we watched the movie together. And to this day, I won't watch that movie. I've never seen it again. I watched it that night, but I'll never watch it again because I don't want to tarnish it. I want that movie to always be a remembrance of this. And I was holding a basketball, and I was sweating, and it's getting late. It's around midnight, and I got to go. I got to go home. And I was a commuter, and I left her room, and I said, "I hope you have a good Christmas, and I'll see you when we get back." And I walked towards the elevator, and I saw her door shutting, and I immediately said, "Wait!" And I called out her name, and she said, "What?" And I said, "Listen, I don't know how much you are with your boyfriend. I don't know how close you are to your boyfriend. All I know is I love spending time with you, and I think you love spending time with me, and I just needed to let you know that. I just needed you to know that I'm attracted to you, and you don't have to say anything. You don't have to answer. You don't have to say get away, stay, whatever. I just want you to know that. That's all. And if I went to Christmas break without saying it, it would kill me. So I swallowed, hard, and I was like, well, okay, see ya. And she came in, she said, um, I like you too. She said, I feel it too. And we sat together on a step, and we talked, just talked, no romantic anything. It was romantic, but it wasn't physically romantic. But we talked, and we talked for 2 hours. And I remember she said, I think God brought us together, which really, that to me is extremely passionate, when somebody says something like that. Um, it didn't work out. It didn't work out in the long run, but that memory will never go away. That memory is always going to be in my mind, and it's always going to be something that when I die, and if God says, "Look, you could relive a couple of days of your life, or relive whatever you want to relive," I would relive that day again. That'd be one of the days. My children being born would be one of those days. But that would be one of those days that I would relive all over again. I'm the kind of person who would like to be with a woman who is attracted to me, who I'm attracted to, um, having physical contact, to music, passionate music. Those things to me are, you know, uh, they're special. They're shared moments that are just something that I, I could say I long for. I'm not looking for it. I'm not saying, "Hey, I got to find it tomorrow." But before I die, I would like that to happen again. I mean, that would be something that'd be nice to happen in my life again. But and I think it will. I think that that's something that'll happen. But it's a whole, for me, a whole package, and that package, looks are in it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to say that I can fake being attracted to somebody that I'm not attracted to. But at the same time, the looks aren't the top priority. They're in the mix, but they're not the top priority. So I can, be with somebody and they can literally grow more beautiful in my eyes than they actually physically are. And I can look at somebody who's unbelievably stunningly beautiful and listen to them talk and listen to their opinions and things that they say and say, man, this is not the looks just kind of die. I mean, it's almost like you don't even see them with the same eyes anymore. So I think it works both ways. I think people can become more attractive or they become less attractive depending on, who they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you. And I think also what's important is that we learn to love ourselves
Yep.
and that we really respect ourselves, respect our experience, and respect what it is that we're putting out into the world. I know you're really big on social media, calling people out about things, and especially in a time when everybody wants to say everything they think all the time, whether it's appropriate or not. I just got certified as an etiquette coach, so I'm very much aware of, of people's constant need to give their opinions about other people's lives. And even when you ask them not to give their opinion and just to listen, they still have to give their opinion. They cannot control themselves. I see it all the time. It's very
Yeah.
interesting. And I think also we can be with somebody for a long time or a short time. We found them very attractive. We had a lot of things in common. And then they don't treat us well. And then all of a sudden we look at them and we think, what did I ever see in this person? I know I've done that many times in my life. Like I must have been crazy. But I think it's with age comes wisdom. And
Yep.
so that's what I'm finding, that I'm in a place where I feel very wise and I feel very happy and very content. So I'm hoping and wanting the same thing for you and for everyone else out there. That's what it's about. Loving yourself, creating great experiences and memories, and being good to one another.
Yeah, and you're right. You have to love yourself first, and you have to physical connection is such a big part of life. I mean, even friendship connection is a big part of life. I think I I I couldn't live without friends. I couldn't be that person who just doesn't connect with people. It's part of me, and it always has been. It's just been something that I think either you're born that way or you're not. I don't think it's anything I did special. I don't think I developed it. I don't think it's something that I worked on. I think it's just something that came, God given, and um, it makes me happy to be with other people. It makes me happy to share moments with people. And again, it could be a guy friend, it could be a girlfriend, but shared moments are shared moments. I mean, they're things that are really really cool. Um, but like I said, I'm a I just disagree when sometimes when people will say things like, you shouldn't care what you look like, or you shouldn't care, you know, again, why do you go to the gym and why do you want to have muscles? What was wrong with you when you were 252 pounds and you were very overweight? Well, I wasn't happy about that. I didn't like looking at that in the mirror. I looked in the mirror and I didn't like it. I said, I don't want to look like this. That was my decision. Now, somebody else can make a completely different decision. Somebody else may say, well, look, I love food and I don't care. I'm 252 pounds. I'm 300 pounds. I'm 450, whatever. And they could say, I'm great with that. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want to be, that's fine. I personally, my own feeling is I didn't want to look like that anymore. I said, I never looked like that growing up. I never looked like that before. And I looked at a picture and I keep that picture because that picture was me in the depths of depression and also the worst I've ever looked in my life. My face was gigantic. My body was gigantic. I look like uh, Oliver Hardy, I called myself. I look like from Laurel and Hardy. I was just, to me, it was awful. And I have that picture on my phone. And every time I don't want to go to the gym or anytime I want to eat like 3 pints of ice cream. I look at that and I'm like, do you want to go back there? And not only that, but also the health. I can run now like I was on a treadmill the other day running 12.5 miles an hour, and I could run faster than that. And the treadmill only went up to 12.5 miles an hour. So I still can run at like probably 14 miles an hour, which isn't world-class speed, but it's not bad for a guy my age.
Oh my,
You
are
know,
you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? That is incredible. I'm surprised you didn't break
uh,
the machine.
30 seconds. 30 seconds I could do it. After 30 seconds, I was gassed.
That's amazing. Something I wanted to share about what you just shared is you use the word should. So you've had an incredible transformation and people are questioning what your motives are or why did you do it? Did you ask them? I mean, did you, that's a rhetorical question. And I'll give an example. I just had somebody say to me yesterday, wow, your hair is really long.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I guess it is long. And I didn't say anything. And then the person looked at me and said, do you think it looks good? And I said, I'm pretty happy with it. And they wouldn't stop. I don't think it looks good. I think it's too long. I think you're too old. I think you should cut it. So I just looked at the person and I said, I hear what you're saying. I didn't ask for your opinion. And it's my hair and it's on my head. But I don't like it. I don't think it looks good on you. Thank you for sharing that negativity.
Yeah.
Thank you. What am I supposed to do with that?
For what? What's the goal? What's the purpose of doing that?
Exactly. People are always doing that. They're always evaluating someone else. And what I say is to the person, look at yourself. Why don't you
Yeah.
get yourself together? Why don't you get
Yeah.
yourself together before you start throwing barbs and jabs at someone else?
Dr. JACALYN, if you wanted your hair down to your ankles, that's up to you. If you want to shave your head, that's up to you. That's your call. What do you like? That's what matters.
Exactly. Well,
And
I like it. I just had it done today.
it looks beautiful. It really
Thank you.
does.
So I
Yeah.
like it, but other people don't like it,
Yeah.
and they don't mind telling. I've had a number of people tell me they don't like my hair. Well, thank you. Would you like me to give you a list of what I don't like about you, which I'm not going to?
No,
I just say
you
that to
wouldn't do
myself.
that. You wouldn't do that, but you're right. You could. Now I don't know if this would be offensive, but I do prefer long hair on women than short hair on women. That's a preference, though. That doesn't mean that I don't like women with short hair or that I think there's something wrong with them, or I think that's just my attraction is more to long-haired women than it is to short-haired women. So, I think that's okay. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think it's being shallow. I think that's just, again, chocolate, vanilla. You're not wrong, whatever you like. Whatever it is you like, you like.
Well,
It's okay.
it's interesting because when my mom had dementia, as you know, and as the stages of the dementia were getting worse, she was obsessed with having her hair long. And she
Mhm.
would not go and have it cut. Of course, I'd have to take her or whatever. And it was a big fight. And she had long hair. And I just, it didn't do anything for her. And as her, full-time caregiver, I just would tell her, Mom, I really love you. But the ponytail, she always wanted to pull her hair back in a ponytail. And I get it because that's the perception of, a young, attractive woman, right? You have long hair
Right.
and a ponytail. So someone just said to me the other day, what do you think, you're going to end up like your mother with dementia and that long hair? It's ridiculous. Another judgment. And so I'm only bringing it up because I want all of us to think about what are we saying to other people? How are we coming across? And what's the real motivation behind giving negative comments when it's just as easy to give a nice compliment? There's always something we can say to compliment someone.
Dr. Jack, I want to ask you something point blank, and I want to answer it honestly.
Okay.
That picture from when I was 252 pounds, you never said anything, but you had to know that I was overweight, correct?
I don't know. I met you at Spin. Remember at Spin?
Yeah.
And the only thing I thought was, this guy's in great shape, man. He just rode that bike for all that time. That's what I thought. I never said to myself, because because of how we met through the Crohn's Colitis Foundation and the initial conversation we had, I remember I was in the car. I think I lived in this complex the first time back then, but you were just so so gracious and gregarious, and your whole focus was on helping other people, that when I met you in person, I just felt like this, I don't know, this kind of love for you, like a friend, like a human being. I really wasn't going, well, he's this or he's not that, or he is that. I really didn't, to be honest.
No, I appreciate that, but I mean, family members had told me they didn't realize, like, they looked at that picture now and they said, we didn't realize you were really that big, that you were really, we had never seen, we didn't notice. And
Yeah.
now they look at it and they say, wow, you were really overweight. And I was, I agree. Did that make me a worse person or better person than I am right now? No, no. Did it make me happy? No, it did not make me happy. I wanted to be in much better shape than I was. I wanted to be in the shape I was when I saw you with Spin. So, but again, that's personal preference, right? I mean, somebody might say, "Look, I'm almost 50. I give up."
Well, you said something at the beginning of the show. I'm trying to think of the exact wordings, but because of being married, maybe I don't want to paraphrase and get it wrong. So I'll just say about me. So
Yeah, good.
because I'm single and I'm not in a relationship, I'm not as obsessed as I would be with my physical attributes if I was in a relationship. So because there's no one seeing me, like you see me and you like it or you don't like it, but it's not like I'm in an intimate physical relationship with someone where I go, oh, I better lose 5 pounds, or which is how I would be otherwise. So that entire pressure is completely removed. And then I think the other thing as we get older is, my skin is not the way it used to be. I'm not saying my face, but I don't have the same ability to get the muscles that I have muscles, obviously, because I work out every day,
Oh
but
yeah,
they're not the same as it used to be. And the people who I'm 61, so the people who are in my age bracket, men, they're going through the same kind of thing too, right?
no,
Things happen with men and with women.
sarcopenia,
Yeah,
sarcopenia. There's nothing you do about sarcopenia. It's inevitable in any human being. There's nothing that can be done. You can slow it down, but you can't stop it.
right.
It's like death. I mean, you can prolong your life by doing healthy things, but you're not going to stop your death. I mean, you're eventually going to die. There's even if it's at 100, it's
Yeah,
going to happen.
true. I know from watching my mother die, and I'm not trying to be morose, I'm just saying it was just interesting at how her everything changed. And then the moment she died until like 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, it was almost like she looked like a completely different person
Mhm.
because she wasn't there anymore. But what it made me think of was that the whole container that we have, it's so it can change on a dime, right? So it's what's inside. And I think if that's where we spend our time, and we've got a comment from Rachel, and we put it up about surgery because this is a good point. Rachel writes, I actually thought about surgery because I feel attractive people get promoted more. I think that's really a good point. And
It is.
if anybody out there watches Hollywood movies or the television shows, and you look at some of these actresses in their 50s and 60s, and you're like, wow, these people look amazing. And
Yeah.
guess what else? Watch the Real Housewives of whatever, and you'll see they're just as messed up as the rest of us.
First
So,
of all, I can tell you Rachel is an attractive girl, number one. Number two, she's got a point. She's got a point.
yeah.
People look at you different when you're good looking. I remember I was training a class one time and there was this guy, I swear to God, he looked like Prince Charming from Cinderella. I mean, this guy it was obvious that he was, I mean, a heartbreaker for women. I mean, I think every woman in the room just stopped and looked at him. He was unbelievably good looking. Biggest jerk I think I ever met in my life. He was mocking people, making fun of people. And I thought, who's going to get stuck with this guy? He looks like Prince Charming. But everybody was falling all over him and couldn't get enough of him. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy's garbage. I mean, it doesn't matter. He is phenomenal looking. I could, as a heterosexual male, I could look at him and I could say to you, he was a fantastic looking man. He looked great. He was model looking and he was not model on the inside. Yet, as Rachel points out, people couldn't do enough for him. and he was high up on the list in the company that I was training at the time. So yeah, that's a shame. Just like people assume certain things with muscularity. I mean, I know myself, being a muscular person, that people assume certain things that, you must be an expert on this, or you must be an expert on that. I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy who goes to the gym and lifts weights. I'm an expert in computer training, but I'm not a kinesiology expert. I mean, I know a lot because I've studied it, but I'm not an expert. But people do treat you differently when you look differently. When you look, when I was, I'll tell you right now, in high school, when I first started high school, I was a tiny little 125-pound guy. What a nerd! How small, no chest. Look at those chicken arms. And by junior year, they're like, "Oh my goodness, look how ripped he is. He's gigantic." And I wasn't gigantic. I was 135 pounds, but compared to when I was like 120 or whatever, I looked much, much bigger, and I was much more cut, much more muscular. So did people treat me different? Did I get called a nerd anymore? No. Did they say, "Oh, look at that weakling with that little chest and those little arms"? No. So looks do, make a difference.
Yes. Well, to your point, I just want to add one more comment to that. Whenever
Sure.
I see a really good looking guy, I think to myself, I do not want to have to deal with that ego. And again, I'm assuming, but if a guy's walking around preening and they say, "Oh, that's somebody else's project." I don't I don't want that project.
Yeah.
So,
But not all pretty people are bad. That's the other
no,
thing you got
that's
to
true.
remember.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm saying it's certain because I was always
Yeah.
attracted to a certain type of man,
Sure.
very
Sure.
attractive. And what I found, and I can only go by my own experience, was they were always put themselves before me, always. And
So they're ugly on the inside.
well, they just weren't for me. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
So, but it's been a very interesting conversation today. We've got to
Yeah.
close out. We're over an hour already,
I
which is
know.
great. Thanks for staying with us all this time. For anybody
Yeah.
out there watching on the live or
And
listening.
thanks, Rachel, again for being with us.
Yeah, thank you,
Jeanette.
Rachel. We appreciate the participation. It's very interesting when you have people who are watching live, because most of our viewers are watching whenever they want. So thanks for watching on the live. And also, for people who don't know, we have 56 different TV shows. So please do go to our YouTube channels, USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. Also, download our app on Amazon, on Roku, Zizzle TV, E360 TV. You'll find us on all these platforms. And very soon we're opening an in-person television station right in New Jersey. I'm hoping to get Justin in there. So Justin, what do you want to leave people with before we run that special video clip?
Yeah, I just want to let everybody know we're still running that hockey game on in Aston, Pennsylvania, and also in Havertown. That's where the party is. NHL celebrity hockey game. 700 people available. 700 tickets available for the restaurant. 1,000 tickets available for the rink. I said it before. I say it every show. I want 1,000 hugs at the rink, and I want 700 hugs at the restaurant. So we got to fill that place. We got to get people out there. It's for people who have Crohn's, colitis, and an ostomy. Very underfunded group of people. So we really need to help them. And Rolf Venershka, former NFL Man of the Year, is going to be there, and some of his charity gets that as well. So take a look at this video, and you'll see what you'll have to look forward to, and much more next time.
Fantastic. All right, let's take a look at this video. And Justin, thank you again. Thank you, Rachel. And thank you, everybody who's watching on the live or on the replay or when it becomes a podcast, which will be tomorrow. So we are providing ways for people to listen and watch to give you as much convenience as possible. Here we go. Let's take a look, and we'll see you next Monday.
Bye.
Hey everybody, I just want to tell you how thankful I am that you came out tonight and helped us out on a very special evening. Crohn's and colitis are terrible diseases, and they affect a lot of people, not only in the Delaware Valley, but all over the world. And hopefully we can find a cure someday. I
Nolan here with you at the Checkmates versus the Flyers alumni. We had a great time this afternoon. Game was close, and we're all here for Checkmates Charities, which is the real reason that everybody's here, not only the players, but all the fans that were here. It was a great day, and we're really happy to be here.
It was fun to be out here at Northeast Skate Zone because the Checos were a pretty good team, and so we had a lot of fun with the charity.
And it was good because they took it easy on us old guys. So we had a good time. So anytime you can do something for charity, and I know a couple guys on the other team, and just to be on the rink, we all go have fun.
Good times go. I'm either gone in an instant or here to the bitter end. I never know what I got.
I want to thank my family for all that they did to help me get through this, and there's a lot of planning that get done. It has to get done. I want to thank Nick's Roast Beef and Common Avenue for all they've done. Dr. Creative for saving my life and finding the disease and treating me for so long. And the Flyers organization for all they do to help us raise money every year. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.